the moment my sister slid a sealed DNA test envelope across the dinner table. She smiled like she'd already won. She looked straight at my husband and said, "You deserve to know the truth." Everyone stopped eating. My mother looked nervous. My father avoided my eyes. My husband slowly opened the envelope while my sister sat back, waiting for my marriage to collapse in front of the entire family. She had secretly collected my daughter's hair, spent $149 on a DNA test, and convinced herself she was about to expose me as a liar. But 10 seconds after my husband finished reading the results, the color drained from his face. Not because I had cheated, but because the report exposed something my sister never imagined. He looked directly at her and quietly said one sentence that made her beg him not to say another word. That dinner destroyed one family forever. My name is Olivia Carter. I'm 28 years old, and until the night my sister tried to destroy my marriage, I believed there was nothing she could do that would truly surprise me. I was wrong. It started during what was supposed to be an ordinary Sunday dinner at my parents' house. My husband, Daniel, was helping my dad carry dishes into the dining room while our 5-year-old daughter colored quietly beside the window. Everything felt normal until my older sister, Vanessa, stood up with a smug smile and placed a large white envelope in the middle of the table. "I think Daniel deserves to see this," she said. The room instantly fell silent. I looked at the envelope, then at Vanessa. "What are you talking about?" She folded her arms confidently. "A few weeks ago, I secretly collected a few strands of Emma's hair and ordered a DNA test. It cost me $149, but now we'll finally know the truth." I felt every muscle in my body freeze. "You did what?" I whispered. Vanessa ignored me and slid the envelope toward Daniel. "I've always believed Emma isn't really your daughter," she said. "Go ahead. Open it." Daniel stared at the sealed report for several long seconds, then quietly reached for the envelope without saying a single word. As Daniel held the unopened envelope, I looked across the table at Vanessa and realized this wasn't an impulsive stunt. She had been planning this for months. Growing up, my sister treated life like a competition she refused to lose. If I earned an award in school, she had to earn two. If relatives complimented my artwork, she'd suddenly take up painting. Nothing I achieved was ever allowed to simply be mine. Things became worse after I married Daniel. We weren't wealthy, but we were happy. We laughed often, built our little home together, and adored our daughter, Emma. Vanessa smiled through family dinners, yet every compliment someone gave me seemed to tighten something inside her. Then the strange moment started. She'd ask oddly specific questions about Emma's eye color, blood type, or whether Daniel's family all had blonde hair. At birthdays, she'd insist on brushing Emma's hair before photos. Once, I even caught her quietly picking a loose strand from Emma's sweater and slipping it into her purse. I thought it was strange, but convinced myself I was overthinking. Now, sitting at that dinner table, every uncomfortable memory crashed together. None of those moments had been accidents. My sister hadn't come to dinner expecting answers. She had come expecting to destroy my family. Daniel slowly broke the seal and unfolded the report. Nobody spoke. Even Emma stopped coloring, sensing the strange silence that had settled over the room. Vanessa leaned back with a confident smile, almost excited to watch my world collapse. I couldn't breathe. Daniel read the first page without changing his expression. Then he turned to the second page and something shifted. His eyebrows drew together, not with anger, but with confusion. He looked at the report again, carefully reading every line before lowering the papers onto the table. Finally, he looked at Vanessa. "Where exactly did you send this sample?" he asked quietly. Her smile faded. "What do you mean?" she replied. "You said this was Emma's hair." "It was." Daniel nodded once. "Then you should probably explain why this report clearly confirms that Emma is my biological daughter." The room fell completely still. Vanessa blinked several times, staring at him as if she hadn't heard correctly. That's impossible." Daniel didn't argue. Instead, he tapped another section of the report. "And there's something else." His voice remained calm, but I could hear the weight behind every word. This laboratory included an unexpected family relationship analysis because the submitted DNA matched an existing profile already in their database. Vanessa's face turned completely pale. She whispered, "Please don't read that part out loud." Vanessa's hands started trembling. She reached across the table as if she wanted to snatch the report away, but Daniel quietly folded it and kept it in front of him. "Daniel," she whispered, "please don't." Nobody understood what was happening except him. He looked at me first, then at my parents, whose faces had suddenly lost every trace of color. My mother's fork slipped from her hand and clattered onto the plate. My father stared at the table, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. Daniel spoke carefully. "This report says the laboratory found an existing DNA profile connected to the submitted sample. Because of that match, it generated additional family relationship information." I frowned. "What does that mean?" He hesitated before answering. "It means Vanessa accidentally uncovered something she wasn't looking for." My parents exchanged a panicked glance that told me more than words ever could. Vanessa buried her face in her hands. "No, this can't be happening." Daniel took a slow breath. "The report doesn't question Emma's parentage at all. Instead, it raises serious questions about Vanessa's own biological family history." Silence swallowed the room. For the first time in my life, my sister wasn't looking at me with jealousy or anger. She looked terrified. Then she looked at our parents and said in a shaking voice, "Tell me this report is wrong." My mother closed her eyes and took a shaky breath. When she finally spoke, her voice barely sounded like her own. "The report isn't wrong." Those 4 words hit the room harder than anything Vanessa had planned. My father rubbed his forehead before quietly admitting they had kept a painful family secret hidden for decades. Before Vanessa was born, my parents had gone through years of heartbreak trying to have children. During that difficult time, they made a deeply personal medical decision they had promised never to discuss outside the family. "It never changed how much we loved you," my mother said through tears. "You have always been our daughter." Vanessa stared at them without blinking. "So, all these years you knew?" Neither of them answered immediately. The silence was answer enough. She looked back at me, and for the first time since we were children, there wasn't a trace of competition in her eyes. Only regret. She had spent years believing I was hiding a terrible secret, while unknowingly carrying unanswered questions about her own past. That night, the accusation she had carefully planned disappeared. All that remained was a family finally forced to stop hiding from the truth. The weeks after that dinner were painfully quiet. Vanessa called me several times before I finally answered. There was no anger left in her voice. She apologized for secretly taking Emma's hair, for accusing me without evidence, and for letting jealousy become more important than trust. I accepted her apology, but I also told her something I had learned the hard way. "Trust takes years to build," I said. "One reckless decision can break it in minutes." Daniel stood beside me through everything. He reminded both of us that families don't become stronger by hiding doubts or chasing rumors. They become stronger by having honest conversations before assumptions grow into accusations. Our parents also began opening up about the past instead of pretending difficult subjects never existed. Those conversations weren't easy, but they were finally real. We couldn't erase what had happened around that dinner table. But for the first time in years, our family stopped protecting secrets and started protecting each other instead. Looking back, I realized I never won because my sister was exposed. I won because I refused to let someone else's suspicion define my life. The truth never needed me to shout louder or prove my worth. It simply waited for the right moment to be seen. Vanessa's DNA test didn't destroy my marriage. It reminded all of us that assumptions can damage families far more than facts ever will. Today, our home is built on honesty, not fear. And if life has taught me one lesson, it's this: the truth doesn't need revenge. It only needs enough time for everyone else to catch up.